All right, guys, the other topic we got to talk about besides text structures is summaries. Summarizing is a very, very important skill that we have to get better at. And most of you are going to be different types of summarizers. We got to work on that. So this is going to be real quick. It's not going to be as long as the other one. So just write down a few notes. I'm going to have you do one thing real quick, and then we're done. A summary. If you don't know what a summary is, it's a quick overview of what happened. It gives big ideas and reviews key details. It's short, it's sweet, it's to the point. You can summarize events, you can summarize books, you can summarize articles, but writing summaries is a very important skill that you're going to use continuously, not only in school, but probably in your life. What a summary should do. There's four things that a summary should have. It should inform the reader of the big idea. What's the point? A summary should let the reader know what the point is of whatever you're talking about. It needs to include key details, or if it's longer, it should combine those details together into a single idea. I'll show you that in a minute. Summaries should not be really long. If I wanted to read something really long, I would read the text instead of reading your summary. Summaries should be short, obviously depending on how long the text is. If you're reading a text that's a paragraph, the summary should be a sentence. If it's a page, the summary should be a couple sentences. You can see where I'm going. If we're summarizing a book, it should be a good summary will be a little bit longer. We're going to practice that in a minute, and mine's going to be a little bit shorter just for the purpose of this page. But summaries should not be extremely long. And summaries should show understanding of what is important and what isn't important. What you include in a summary and what you don't include in a summary tell me the same thing. It tells me if you can pick out important information in a text, if you can put it in summaries. If you're including information that's not important in a summary, I don't really know if you're getting the point of what we're reading. So I want you to practice. I want you to summarize what we've read so far in Joey Pigs Has Swallowed the Key. We're obviously almost done. We'll finish next week. But write a summary. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. The sub will give you 5 minutes to write that summary on the piece of paper you're taking notes on is fine. So go ahead, 5 minutes, write your summary. You can pause this, and then when everybody's ready, continue on. All right, stop. I want you to look at the next page I'm going to put up here and then hold up a 1, 2, a 3, or a 4 on your finger. I want you to hold up a 1 if you wrote like a page. Hold up a 1 on your finger. I want you to hold up 2 if you wrote almost a page. Maybe you were 3/4 or more. I want you to write 3 if you wrote more than half of a page, but not quite a page. And I want you to put 4 if you wrote maybe a paragraph. If you wrote less than a paragraph, you're being lazy. That sucks. Don't be lazy. Okay? So we got 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s. Now I'm going to show you my summary. And we'll see how they compare. And I'll show you how the different parts of a summary are seen. So here's my summary. Joey Pigza is a kid with a pretty rough life. His dad isn't around, and his mom recently came back to live with him. Before then, he was raised by his grandma, and she didn't treat him real well. He also has a condition where he has trouble focusing and making good decisions. Because of some problems he had in school, he had to go back to a special education center for help. Now he's taking medicine and getting back on track. That's my summary. It's short, it's sweet, to the point. You can see that Joey Pigza is the main character. And the main idea is that he's had it kind of rough. I told you a little bit about his family life. And grandma. Okay. And then I told you a little bit about his condition and what he's been doing to deal with that. Now, how many of you mentioned, hold your hand up when I say these things if you mention them. How many of you mentioned that he swallowed a key? How many of you mentioned that he was locked in the fridge, or almost locked in the fridge? How many of you mentioned that he cut off Maria's nose? How many of you mentioned that he jumped off of the rafters in the building in the Amish farm? Okay. I mentioned those things too, just a little differently than you did. I said because of some problems he had. Now that doesn't really cover the whole fridge thing, but it covers him swallowing the key. It covers him cutting off Maria's nose and jumping off the buildings. That's where earlier how I said you combine details into one idea, that's what I did right here. I just mentioned that he had problems. Now, in a longer summary, like the ones you're going to write for your reading project, you should explain some of those problems. But for this, just a regular summary, that's enough. Okay? How many of you mentioned in your summary that mom drinks? I chose not to mention that. Is that an important idea? Kinda. But it's not the main idea of the story. The main idea of the story is not that mom drinks. The main idea of the story is that Joey Pigza has a rough life. I probably could have included that and that would have been okay. But if you didn't include it, it's not a big deal because that's not the main idea. If yours shows that Joey Pigza had a rough life and he's dealing with it, you got the main idea. So we'll practice these more later on in the week and into next week. I just want to give you some reminders before the end of class. You don't need to write these down, just pay attention. First, library day is Friday. Remember, after library day, you're going to be going to the lab and you're going to be watching a video on nouns. So bring your headphones Friday or find a way to borrow them from a friend because you're going to need to be able to listen to the videos. You could get some out of it by just watching it, but listening to it is going to be better. So bring headphones Friday or make arrangements to borrow them somehow. Continue working on your reading project. It's due in about a month. I think it's about a month from today. It's due. I'm going to let you start turning them in at the end of next week. So be working on it. Hopefully you've started it. Hopefully you're not that person who's waiting. And lastly, guys, please just be awesome and be good. And I will be back on Monday. So thank you guys. Have a good rest of your week. And I'll see you on Monday.